Okay, now whilst you can't see me as I'm out of shot, I'm sitting here with Jeremy Clare from Whatever Next and Mike Sullivan also from Whatever Next. We've been working together over the last few weeks on a new workshop called Liberating Beliefs. And I thought as we were all together today I would take this opportunity to ask you both about why you see liberating beliefs as being such a significant thing in our lives today.
I'll start, thank you. I want to say about limited beliefs first. I think they do have a benefit. They keep us safe. You know, it enables us to avoid certain experiences and therefore certain probably traumatic feelings and emotions.
That's limiting beliefs, Mike.
Yeah, limiting beliefs, yeah. And I think they have that benefit. That does sound like a benefit. So even though I say it like that, I think there is a disbenefit to it. Because it means there's something in our lives we're not able to do. And that may lead to resentment. It may lead to feeling disempowered. It may lead to disillusionment about ourselves. It may lead to a lack of self-motivation in our chosen life. So, although it's got a benefit of keeping us safe, it may hold us back and stop us doing things we really want to do. So, I think it's got both. It's a benefit and a disbenefit.
Yeah, just in case anyone doesn't understand the concept of limiting belief, maybe I just want to give an example. And a very common example would be a sentence which starts, I would really love to do something, start my own business, for instance. And the next word coming up, you can almost hear it coming up, is but. But I've never been very good at maths, I've never been very clever with money, so I don't think it's a wise idea. So there is a limiting belief. Because of a belief that you're not very good at something, you've ruled out the possibility of starting a business, and therefore you're limited. And you'll never start a business as long as you believe that to be so. That is a limiting belief.
I think the question I would ask is actually, where do they come from? You know, how do we end up with limiting beliefs? There's several ways of describing it. One's called conditioning. It's the way we're brought up. Therefore, our belief systems, by and large, come from their parents or our caretakers. They tell us many things about ourselves and the world. So, in a way, they write our script for us. So what we believe to be true about us and the world we live in is given to us by other people. So we are handed down. And many times, generation after generation, are handed down limiting beliefs that hold that generation back. I think the challenge is, if we're kept safe by a limiting belief, then to challenge it might put us at great risk. A great risk might be in terms of personal health or safety, but to be disloyal to a past generation who we love and adore and want to be loyal to, our parents, is very hard. So we get caught between wanting something for ourselves to have a happier life, and being disloyal to a previous generation that has passed on to us a belief system. So I think it's a challenging area. I think people that are too afraid of the consequences of what they might do will probably never do it. And generation after generation will continue the belief systems. I believe people that do manage to work at a belief that's holding them back, that was handed down to them, and act in a way that's disloyal to the belief, but maintain the respect of their forefathers, will find great success in their life.
Would it be true to say that that conditioning belief, a lot of it comes very early in life?
Most of it, I would say, comes early in life. I think most of our real fundamental beliefs, and that includes limiting beliefs, are probably well in place by the age of 7.
Yeah, so we're not talking about sort of teenage rebellion and thoughtful teenage, what am I going to do with my life, thinking it's way before that. Yeah.
But I think also I agree with you about that we have handed down conditioning beliefs, but you can also adopt beliefs as a result of life experience. When I've explored this for myself, and actually one of the things that amazed me was how many elements of our limiting beliefs there are. It's not just a one thing. Well, that's my limiting belief. Once I've sorted that out, I'll be off.
No,
I'm soaring high. But also that certain life experiences can result in limiting beliefs in quite complicated ways as well.
No, I think there's infinite the number of beliefs we have. I think it's infinite the number we have limited. I don't think it's a one-time shot. I think it's almost a lifelong journey. But nonetheless, life does give us experiences where, as a result of the experience, we experience such a trauma at the time that we decide to do something or not do something for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
Based on that one experience, we have now given ourselves a belief that limits the rest of our lives. The fact that we will be re-stimulated at some time in later by a similar set of circumstances, and we play out that belief every time, does limit us. The idea that every circumstance from now on will be exactly the same can't be true. It won't be the same. But because of our belief, we will play it out the same. Now that to me is a limited belief that didn't come from early years learning, came from a traumatic experience learning. Very true. People may have a car accident and never drive a car again. That's an example. The fact that the car accident was caused by whatever, and that may not happen again, or actually whether it was due to them or not, it doesn't mean they're going to have an accident again, but they may well decide not to drive again. That's a limiting belief.
So that's a fairly dramatic example of a single incident. But I imagine, and I think some of my own experience is that limiting beliefs sounds straightforward and obvious, and we could get out a piece of paper and write down what our limiting beliefs are. In practice, I think it's more difficult than that, and many of them are subtle and hidden, and we may not even know what they are. So one of the things we're working on at the moment is to try and find ways to get people to articulate actually what they do believe, because that's the question behind a lot of what my interest in this is: what actually do we believe, and how does what we believe affect the way in which we live our lives? And that takes a little bit of work.
Yes, and then presumably actually shifting that so that you can move into the greater potential that you've been held back from.
Well, I think one of the fascinating things is that, particularly with questions of loyalty and members of a tribe, a family, a club, or something like that, the idea, if you like, that once we've become a member of that, and all members of this group believe this, the idea that we're going to start believing something else is quite a traumatic idea to us. Actually, the changing of a belief is not a complicated thing. It actually involves us seeing it in front of us, reading it perhaps, or hearing it, and then saying, no, I don't want to believe that anymore. And the changing of our mind, and the deciding, for instance, that I believe that private education is significantly more advantageous and more effective than state education. We could change that opinion and that belief in an instant. And the effect of that change would be almost instantaneous. We stop believing one thing and we start believing another thing. Now that's not true of all beliefs, but many beliefs do not take any more than a change of mind, which usually is just a change of perspective or a change of view, which is often instigated by talking about it, listening to each other, and deciding that we don't want to believe something that we've perhaps believed all our life. So we change it.
So how would you sum up the idea that addressing your limiting beliefs is such a significant and important thing to do?
Well, I believe that it is really important in our lives to be free to act in a way which is consistent with our beliefs and values. So the end result, the purpose of even examining this, I think, is to become free, to become liberated, if you like, to move forward in our lives in a way which is consistent and congruent and pleasing to us and anyone else for whom, if you like, this is important, and that that will have connotations to do with our faith, with our family, and all sorts of things. But the word freedom keeps coming back to me. That if we are actually constrained by limiting beliefs, we're not free. If we don't even know what the limiting beliefs are, it's even more insidious. If we know what the limiting beliefs are and we choose to retain them, that's fine. You've acted with freedom. At least you know what you believe and why you believe it. But faced with perhaps some limiting beliefs which are unpalatable, it gives us the freedom to examine it, decide we don't want to believe that anymore, take action, set aside one belief, adopt a new belief, and then we're free to move forward on a different basis. That's the importance of it. So freedom, I would say, in a word, is
that's quite exciting.
At the heart of it.
I think the question's a great challenging question, I really do. I want to answer it from only a personal place. So why do I do it? I think one of the things I've learnt in all of my life is many things confuse me. And when I get confused, I really don't know why people are doing what they do. I never understood why my father did certain things. I didn't understand why at the age of 17 I had to join the army and go to war. I didn't understand these things. And it was much later in my life I realised why I was confused. I was never allowed to make up my own mind about these things. They were made up for me. And I want to say a fundamental right I believe I have is to make up my own mind. Now, you could say I want the whole world to have that fundamental right, but only if they want it. So let me start from myself wanting that right. One of the things I know stops me making up my own mind is the conditioning of my past. So all the belief systems I have been handed down, even the belief system or the belief I have learnt through experience, are not allowing me to make up my own mind anymore. Therefore, I am on a journey of finding out what beliefs limit me, what beliefs hold back my right to make up my own mind. Now that's my personal place in this world, and I think that one thing that will give me joy is if anybody wants to join me.
So your invitation is to the rest of us?
Yes. You're welcome to join me on the journey of your right to make up your own mind.
Yeah.
Now, I have grandchildren now, and I'm fascinated by my behaviour around them. I wish I was this insightful when I was a parent, but I wasn't. And my job as a parent then, and now a grandparent, is to assist my grandchild now to be in a position where he's not ready to make a decision. I'll say, no, you're going to do this now. And actually encourage him to make up his own mind to the point that he's always making up his own mind. And I believe that's my role now. So not only do I want it for myself, it's part of my role as a grandparent to assist my grandchildren to get to the point where they make up their own minds. Now, I know we have loads of things going around our world today. Freedom of speech, the Human Rights Act, all these things say the same things, which is you should be free to make up your own mind about your life, about who you are and what you do in your own life. Now that's where the debate's there now, isn't it? It's like some religions don't allow you to do that. You know, they control you to the point that you can't make up your own mind. But for me, as an individual, I can. I'm not controlled by those religions, or even cultures. You know, it's not just religions, any culture. So, if in answer to your bigger question, I seek in my life a place where I can make up my own mind, and that means I have to be introspective, I have to be made aware of, because I don't always notice my own limiting beliefs, and if I'm lucky, really lucky, somebody will mention something to me, and I go, did I do that? Yeah. You know, and they become my godsend in a way, because we have so many limiting beliefs that we can't see them.
Yeah.
And if we're fortunate to have somebody insightful around us that can mirror it to us, then we have a chance.
Okay. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you.
Pleasure.